going on, Jeromes? So I guess this is the Slingin' Sammy Darnold Q&A. Wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you, everyone who submitted questions. Periodically, we'll put out on the community tab a call for questions, and we're trying to be better at answering more and more of them. So here we go. First off, Rowdy Harger, if what we are seeing is true and what Darnold is a top 5, we'd be beyond crazy to let him play somewhere else until JJ can prove himself to be better. Franchise tag for a year. The Vikings do have the cap space to franchise tag him. The Vikings also could give him a long-term extension, say that he's going to be the guy. Also, if say they give him like the Baker contract, 3 years, $100 million roughly. Darnold probably going to get more than that. It doesn't preclude them from trading him in the future. Like if things don't work out or they deem that JJ McCarthy is ready, they still have that valuable trade piece. Either way, the Vikings are getting value. I honestly, at this point, I think that the worst thing that they can do is just let him walk in free agency, because then you maybe get a 2026 comp pick, but that also depends on what you do in free agency as well. And if the Vikings don't re-sign him, ironically, they would have a ton of cap space to go out and get free agents, so that could potentially negate their 2026 comp picks anyways. But tag and trade is certainly in play, especially given the shallowness of the free agent quarterback pool and the quarterback draft being this year. But the question is Darnold, this is who he is, but you've seen what he did with the Panthers and with the Jets. I don't think that he can replicate this success anywhere else. I think that a lot of his success is him, yes, but also with O'Connell, McCown, the coaching staff, as well as obviously the weapons around him. Right? And Darnold, I think, may realize that as well. Who's got it better than us? Nobody. Next. But obviously, a lot of things depend on what happens the rest of the way. Like if the Vikings steal the 1 seed, if the Vikings go on a playoff run, if the Vikings win a Super Bowl, I mean, just pay him whatever the hell he wants. Blank check, man. Wesley White, do you think that if Sam Darnold is re-signed, he would take some sort of team-friendly deal because he actually seems like he plays for the love of the game and not the money, and also the Vikings have defibrillator to his career? So it is important that Darnold hasn't gotten that big-time contract yet. All right, so, $10 million to be a backup. He hasn't gotten that big long-term contract like some of the other quarterbacks have. So that is a factor. Now, love of the game. I mean, at a certain point, like Darnold's market rate right now, like, is he going to get stupid Jared Goff or Trevor Lawrence type money, $55 million a year? Probably not. Does he deserve more than Baker and Geno? Yes. I think we're probably looking at the $35-40 million a year range, which is ironic because, yes, we got rid of the Kirk Cousins contract and drafted JJ McCarthy to exploit the competitive advantage of having your starting quarterback on his rookie deal, spend that cap elsewhere. But plans change, and it really is 2 in the hand is where 1 in the hand is where 2 in the bush. Hell, 2 in the hand is pretty good too, and we've always said don't let good be the enemy of great, but Darnold could be legitimately great, especially the way that he's played the last 4 weeks. I think that he firmly should be in the MVP conversation, and I don't think that it would be like a huge hometown discount, but also, like we said, it could be Darnold realizing too, I have a chance to be very successful here, or do I want to go to the Raiders, the Titans, or the Saints, or back to the Jets, or the Giants, or anything like that? Now. Next, allegedly cool. Darnold's been playing like elite quarterback. What would it take for him to win MVP? Vikings basically have to win out. So Vikings go 15-2. The Vikings get the NFC North. The Lions slip up a time or two. The Eagles drop out. Also, it's important that the Vikings now have a tiebreaker in common games with the Falcons game, because Eagles lost to the Falcons, and then like Darnold have to play lights out the rest of the way. And, Josh Allen would have to have a couple bad games, right? Which is ironic since the Bills do play the Lions on Sunday. And Lamar's having a phenomenal year, but the Ravens are 8-5. So I don't know what else to tell you, right? But if Darnold does all that, I don't know how you don't give him the MVP. Plus, I feel like voters are always looking for a great storyline. And now Josh Allen is fantastic, but Slingin' Sammy Darnold having the to his career, going 15-2. Come on, man. Also, stats-wise, if he finishes with above 4,500 yards passing, 40-plus touchdowns, a 110 quarterback rating, which is roughly on pace to do, I mean, it'd be hard to say no. Next, Blake Gleason. Do you think the way that Sam Darnold is playing puts high expectations for JJ McCarthy when he gets the start if Darnold doesn't sign back with us? So say the Vikings tag and trade Darnold and it's JJ McCarthy's show. Yes, I think the bar is raised, especially if, say the Vikings end up with a wild card, win a couple playoff games, end up in the NFC title game. That's a pretty high standard, especially the way that he has played quarterback, the way that he's responded from adversity, the way that he's had sky-high games, the way that he's fed Jefferson and Addison. That is a lot of pressure for J.J. McCarthy, but also you see what O'Connell has done throughout the years. Stafford, Super Bowl. Cousins, best ball of his career. Mullins throwing for 400-plus yards a game. Slinging Sammy Darnold, reviving his career to the hilt. Just imagine what he can do with J.J. McCarthy, who has better tools than all of them. He's got a good head on his shoulders, works his ass off, and is only 21. And just imagine that, right? So I sort of go back and forth. Like, Darnold is legitimately great right now, but McCarthy has a chance to be better. But it is a bit of a gamble because you know what you have with Darnold. You don't know what you have with McCarthy at this point. Lastly, John Anderson TV. If Darnold comes back for $30 million a year for 2-3 years, would you take it? Yes, a bajillion %. Where, Kwesi's a big numbers guy, and I respect that he draws a line with contracts. Whether it's Kirk Cousins, whether it's Danielle Hunter, it's like, hey, we want you back for this amount. And honestly, if Darnold takes that, he's leaving a lot of money on the table because I think that he would get a ton more in open free agency, or even in a tag and trade deal. But obviously, like we said, if he feels like, well, all these other teams are great, but they don't have Kevin O'Connell, they don't have Jefferson and Addison, they don't have anything else. And I've had great success here, and we're going to run it back, and we're going to do this damn thing, right? So I think that maybe there will be a discount there, like a slight discount, but if the market bears out that he can get $45 million a year, he's not going to come back to the Vikings for 30. Like, that's just not too much. But now, if it's close-ish, say if it's like he can get, all right, let's say this is 35, right? So say that he can get 42 in the market, but you can get 35 here at the Vikings. He may choose to stay here, but we'll see. Money is always number one in the game, but Darnold has been a really special talent, and I mean, it's been a lot of fun here, and obviously this would be the best spot for him to succeed. Does he take the money and go somewhere else and maybe doesn't have as great of a supporting cast or coaching staff, and it's sort of back to square one with him, but he got paid? Don't know. I guess we'll find out. But that's it. Your thoughts are thoughts. Vikings Q&A, but really Sam Darnold Q&A. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol, production value.